It's been over 4 years that we've journeyed through the legal system and every aspect of civic life in California to get the equal right to marry. And during that, we've had many ups and downs, and we've taken so much inspiration from Massachusetts. The first legal same-sex wedding we went to was a good friend of ours, actually a friend of mine from college, who married his husband legally in Massachusetts, and as we've waited and waited for equal rights to arrive in California, we've taken a lot of inspiration from remembering his wedding.
Yeah,
and I remember also back in the February of 2004 when everything was taking place in Massachusetts, and I was really afraid of what might happen in the legislature, so I was looking online to figure out how I could come up to Massachusetts and do anything I could to help protect this in Massachusetts. And then we just noticed in the local paper here that there was going to be a rally on the steps of San Francisco City Hall on February 12th, 2004. And I thought, well, we should go to that too, and then maybe we'll go to Massachusetts after that, and we'll see. And then we arrived at what we thought was going to be a rally, and we learned that San Francisco was issuing marriage licenses to same-sex couples. So we actually bolted right through the door, did not waste a moment, and ended up being one of the first 10 couples to get married in San Francisco on February 12th, 2004.
So you had no idea it was really going to happen?
We had no idea what was going on. We bolted through the door, and suddenly we were equal.
The photos, and suddenly we were equal.
And it was extraordinary, and I'll never forget that moment. We heard the words, "By virtue of the authority vested in me by the state of California, I pronounce you spouses for life." And I remember the chills that went through my body, and we realized at that moment that was the first time that we had actually felt that we were equal human beings in the eyes of the law. And it was a tremendously transformative experience. So we really committed at that point to say we've got to do everything we can to make this a lasting reality. And so 6 months later, unfortunately, those marriage licenses were invalidated, but 2 days later, we joined a lawsuit before the California courts to have the freedom to marry for every loving couple be declared a fundamental constitutional right.
Right.
And so it took 4 years, but that dream came true on May 15th, 2008.
Yeah, standing on the steps of the California Supreme Court when that decision came down, we heard a cry of joy and really justice being done at that moment. And that was just, I wouldn't trade that moment for anything in the world.
Yeah.
That was 10 o'clock in the morning on May 15th. At 10:04, my cell phone rang, and it was my mom. And she said, "When's the wedding?" And it was just such a sweet moment because she was getting to be a mom at that moment. She'd waited how many years? 20 years to be able to ask us that question.
Right.
And we could plan a wedding.
Yeah.
So that was very sweet. And also, we've taken so much courage from the example of my parents as we've worked our way through the court system. Because my parents are an interracial couple who were only able to marry because 60 years ago, this year, California led the nation in overturning the law banning interracial couples from marrying. That made it possible for my own mom, who's Chinese American, to marry my dad, who's English and Irish American, right here in California. And today would be unthinkable. We would have a law telling my mom and dad they can't marry. Someday soon it will be unthinkable that John and I had to wait 21 years for our wedding day, but that day came and it was beautiful to exchange vows with our parents, our family and friends surrounding us, and especially sweet to have my mom and dad witness a second generation in our family being treated equally under the law and celebrating the freedom to marry and finally getting, to have our wedding day.